Good morning, everyone. Today is the 6th of September. And yes, we are nearing the end of this short week. We're moving into the holidays, and we are going to go over what we should possibly expect today with my SPY cycle patterns. Now, cycle patterns have really been a little off for the last 3 or 4 days. Everything pretty much followed right in line up until this week, where we had this big crush pattern. We have moved downward. It does look like we're going to open in this 546 area potentially. That's where we're at right now, down about 0.5%, potentially filling this gap window here. And that may not be a bad thing. I mean, in reality, if we come down and fill this gap window today, clearing this potential pullback area, this should be a fairly solid move to the downside. Pulling back this gap, kind of retesting this middle support zone here. Hopefully not getting down into this area, 538, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right now, my SPY cycle patterns are showing a flat down bar. Because we've been off, we really saw the crush pattern, which was supposed to happen on Monday, happen mostly on Tuesday. We did see a little bit of a reversal rally on Wednesday, which was supposed to happen on Tuesday. We saw the up, down, up, which was inverted, being a down, up, down on Wednesday. That means that if we look at this, we may end up getting a top resistance pattern today and then transitioning into maybe a flat down by the end of the day. What that means is that if we see that top down pattern come over here to a 10 or a 30 minute, what we would be looking at, folks, is something possibly, and this was my drawing yesterday with relating to the top down pattern, we might see something possibly along the lines like this. So we're going to open down much lower, but let's assume that we open like this in this area. A top pattern would see a rally like this, rolling over and then moving into kind of a flat down period. So that's what a top transitioning into a flat down period would set up. A top would be some sort of a rally rolling into a flat down period, kind of going sideways. Some sort of a rally moving into a flat down period going sideways. And that's kind of where I think we're at the end of the week. We've seen a lot of downward pressure. Remember, we came in with this huge gap down, which was this gap here, setting up an opening price gap back up in this area again. We really weakened into this week, rolling through, some primary resistance areas. We could continue downward, but I think the markets have pretty much washed out this rotation. And again, I'm watching for signs that we could see a broader downward move. But again, this was a pullback that I had expected. You remember I talked about the fact that this week was going to be fairly difficult, that we were going to see some rotation into this Friday, Saturday, Sunday area here. You can see how I drew this upward trend here. I believe that we're moving into a nice solid rally phase next week off my cycle patterns. I think once we get up into this gap up higher, consolidation, inside breakaway, rally, gap potential or gap reversal, topping, gap potential, topping, breakdown, breaking up, down. I think that's going to move us right into a fairly solid rally that's going to peak up into this area still. I mean, I still think 575, 580, maybe 585 is very potential after this roll. I think we could roll into see if I'm still in the draw mode. I think we could roll into a rally mode here, setting up a pretty good run. But let's see how this plays out. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not going to tell you that I'm 100% perfect. I'm not. I try to give you my best advice based on what I see in the markets. And yes, sometimes news can drive things, and sometimes other things can move the markets. So we'll see how this plays out. I mean, we've already got this ABC pattern, a very solid recovery. We came right back to near all-time highs and rolled downward. We could very easily continue to move downward here. We'll see how it plays out before the election, but I think we're looking at a top back here in end of September, early October, leading to this high before we roll into a downward trend. That's my personal opinion right now. And like I said, until things change, I think we're going to be looking at this type of activity. We're just in this pullback transitional phase. And this is, again, I predicted that we would stay in this mode. I just didn't really foresee this downward gap. I thought that the crush pattern would get somewhat skipped with mild rotation this week on Monday. And it looks like the crush pattern just got delayed into Tuesday. And now everything's pretty much one day delayed this week is what's happening. So this crush pattern I thought would be kind of ignored, and we'd run into these reversal rally, up, down, up, top resistance, flat down. But what really happened is crush showed up on Tuesday, reversal rally showed up on Wednesday, up, down, up showed up on Thursday, and now we're looking at a potential top resistance. Okay, that's where I think we're going to be looking at is a moderate top setting up in the markets today, just like I showed you. Okay, let's go take a look at gold. Need to see gold continue to move higher. We are back above my 2540, 2550 area almost. We're at 2548 right now. Really need to see this continue. Really need to see it get up here into the 2560 area so we can attempt the 2593. Now, 2593 is the line in the sand right up here where we have to see gold really attempt to make this new high up to 2593. And the reason for this is it's a milestone. It's a marker in the sand that says gold will continue to run instead of rolling over. Now, the US dollar is rolling around the 101, just above 101. We are getting a weakening, SPY and NASDAQ. Gold is acting as a proper hedge. I think the 2593 is going to happen probably in the next, I would guess, 5 days, trading days. It looks to me like gold really wants to try to make another little pop move up into this area, which would be just below 2600. But I really need to see that 2505 level, which I've drawn right here. I'm going to make this a little brighter. This 2505 level is very, very critical. At this point, this has been our floor, our ceiling. It is going to be continued support going forward. We need to see gold hold above this level. Otherwise, we could see some real downward move. And like I said, we are still just moving into the vortex rally. You can see the lines that I've drawn here, the dashed lines and the upward channeling. I mean, we have these same types of setups back over here. We have big horizontal trending channels taking place. You can see some of them across here. We need to see this upward channel continue to take place for this vortex rally to play out on the SPY. Let's take a look at the QQQ. QQQ had a fairly solid basing pattern just below this gap window. This is a daily chart. You can see right down here, we're basing into this 459, 460 area, really getting these nice little consolidation patterns. And again, I would expect today's pattern or today's activity to be very similar to what I showed you with that top down pattern. So what we're looking at with the top down is kind of a, scroll these around. What we're looking with a flat down pattern with the topping pattern combined would be a possible roll back up into this area, moving into kind of a flat down pattern, kind of like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for today. A nice surprise, let's call it bullish pullback to the upside, leading into kind of a flat end of day mode, just like we saw yesterday. Very flat these last couple of days. I mean, very, very flat, difficult to trade, didn't really trend much. I think we get a nice little surprise rally today and then flat trending back over here. Okay, lastly, Bitcoin. Yep, I had someone write me the other day, do I still think Bitcoin has the potential to move higher? Yeah, I do. I really still do. I don't see this downward trend as too much more than a carryover of, I mean, look here, SPY. Yeah, it's been in kind of a downward trend, right off of highs, rolling into a sideways formation. NASDAQ, yeah, rolling off of highs into a sideways formation. What do you know? Dow Jones, yep, rolling off of highs into a downward, upward sloping trend, but currently downward. These are daily. UK, rolling off recent highs, sliding back into consolidation to the downside. Okay, German DAX rolling off of highs, double topping pattern here, rolling back into support channel over here. Let's come back over here to Bitcoin, rolling off of highs, coming back down, back into this lower support zone here. And really, we come down here. This is our little channel. This is our little level here. And I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin hold. Let me try to do this. Try to hold up in this level here as basing support for a potential longer term kind of a inverted head and shoulders formation. Okay, and if this is the case, then we're going to be looking at a good solid rebound here back up into the 60,000 plus area, and we will see. This gives us a pretty good inversion. And again, we come over here to weekly, and you can see. Now, granted, I will tell you, what does this look like? This looks like this period right here. Okay, it does look like, oh, there's our head or our shoulder coming back, maybe over into this area before we get this big breakdown. Yeah, I get it. It looks like this, but there's a difference. Okay, this is a big speculative rally after COVID. This is a non-speculative rally, in my opinion. In the midst of Fed raising rates, I think this is a more organic move to the upside in Bitcoin. I think because the Fed has been raising rates really from this area here all the way across, that we've seen a really tremendous move here in Bitcoin in the face of a slowing and weakening really economy. The Fed's been actively trying to battle inflation and to deflate capital function in the markets, global markets. They have been actively doing this since early 20 or trying to since early 2022. It really took effect about 18 months after the market. So when you come in here and you realize that the Fed makes a move starting in early 2022, and that doesn't happen, really take effect until about 18 months after the Fed makes the move. So there's the first 18 months or so, and here's the second 18 months or so. So now, I'm telling you what I see and what I want you to maybe consider. Let me change this color a little bit to a light cyan. So this was the Fed raising interest rates aggressively through the first 18 months. And what happens during this period is the markets go into a period of shock. Now, you remember the U.S. stock market collapsed down into a 2023, August 2023 low, okay? Then we moved into a bit of a rally phase because the strength of the U.S. economy continued to perform. Bitcoin moved from this collapsing market down to 20 grand into this sideways basing mode, really moving into kind of you can see it, a higher low formation And I think we're going to just continue to move. I think we're just going to continue to move on up. So, and what I think is going to be required first is we're going to go ahead and see the moderate rotation that we've seen here leading to a flag formation that is going to cause us to really break out. So we got to come in here. We got to understand that we're looking at a channel. There's our downward channel. We're trying to build off of this inverted head and shoulders formation right here. I'll make that a dark purple. We're going to see if we can hold at this low level that I've highlighted here in yellow. And what would happen in this case, if we can hold, is that we would get upward trending that would revert back to the upside and try to break away. And that's what would happen if we get a good solid move here in Bitcoin, is we would break this channel and move higher. Now, it may come closer to the election, which is only 40, 50, we'll call it 55, 60 days away. I mean, today is the 6th. So we're literally just under 60 days away from the election. And I think this is a very solid base right here in this 56,000 area. Yes, we could get lower. Yes, you want to watch and protect this area. We have not exited this downward cycle trend yet, but hedging instruments, in my opinion, are going to be very favorable over the next year or so. Maybe less so into 2025, mid 2025, but I think right now, through the election and into probably March, April, May of next year, 2025, gold, silver, Bitcoin, hedging instruments, what I call, are going to be very popular. So we'll see how it plays out. Okay, happy Friday, everyone. Let's see what's going to happen here. We see if the markets give us any pause, any holding up. Look at the markets. Looks like they are attempting to hold up a little bit. Let me come back here into 10-minute. Hasn't really moved yet. We have some news today. We're still at 546.64. You know, I kind of really want to see the SPY open in this area. So I'd like to see the SPY move a bit higher. Maybe up from where we're at, 56, maybe up about $1.50 up into the 548 area. That would make me comfortable, being that we're going to try to move off of these deeper lows. So we'll see. We've got a little bit of morning news today, and that could be all that we need to start to see this trend to move upward. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Have a great weekend.